Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're continuing our journey, our exploration through Oliver's album, A Night on the Earth.
And we've definitely reached a point of, well, intense emotional shift.
Absolutely. If you were with us for the last deep dive, you'll remember we were in the very quiet, almost tragic space of track 5, Song for You.
Mm-hmm. That vulnerable piano duet.
Mhm.
It was all about this mutual sadness, this shared acceptance that the love, even if it was real, just wasn't going to work out.
Yeah, a really complex kind of surrender, right? The narrator, the partner, they were sharing the stage, sharing that sorrow. It felt like a breakup, maybe rooted in circumstance or just a fundamental misunderstanding.
And the tension was so internal. That line, my mind knows it's over, but my heart is still crying for you. It was this quiet tragedy of maybe mutual failure. Very subdued.
And now, track 6 hits, You Lost My Love, and it's like flipping a switch. That shared, gentle sorrow is just gone.
Completely gone. It's immediate. The shift is absolutely, it almost hits you like a wall of sound.
That's a good way to put it. The stripped-down piano, the intimacy of that duet instantly replaced. And the source material confirms this is designed as a powerful, driving rock ballad.
Which is more than just a change in style, isn't it? It's the sound of emotional whiplash.
Definitely. The energy completely transforms. It feels like the narrative just, well, rejects that complex, almost mature understanding they seem to reach in track 5.
It really does. Instead of shared failure, the narrator grabs onto this simpler, much more aggressive stance. It's about clear fault, clear consequences, almost like a declaration of war.
And the music has to carry that, right?
Yeah.
You hear it immediately, the heavy percussion kicks in, you've got layered guitars, this driving bass line.
Yeah, the instrumentation becomes the sound of the narrator taking back control, finding assertion, maybe even aggression after 5 tracks of being more passive, more caught in the struggle.
So that's really our mission today, isn't it? To unpack this huge pivot. How does Oliver's narrator use what feels like the clarity of betrayal to move past that shared grief?
And move back into this very active assertion. But this time, it seems fueled by something else, this really powerful desire for, I don't know, cosmic justice.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like this is the moment where the victim finally steps up and becomes the agent of his own fate.
So let's dig into that. How does this shift actually happen?
Well, first, we really need to keep track 5 in mind, just for context.
Right. Song for You was about, fundamentally, honesty and acceptance, even in sadness. The narrator seemed ready to share the blame, Maybe the relationship was just fated to end, even if feelings remained. The focus was on us failing.
Together, and As You Lost My Love, just obliterates that whole idea of shared responsibility. It doesn't seem to allow for any complexity at all.
It really slams the door on that delicate, fragile sorrow we heard.
So why? Why does the narrator need to reject that shared sadness so, well, violently? Doesn't accepting complexity suggest a higher level of emotional maturity?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But maybe emotional maturity doesn't always give you the fuel you need for action. Think about the album's journey so far. Okay. The narrator's been stuck. Cycles of uncertainty, deception back in track 1, that desperate waiting in track 2, feeling totally isolated in track 4.
Right. So complexity might have just meant staying stuck. Inertia.
Exactly. Maybe to actually break free, the narrator needed something simpler. A clear, undeniable reason, a definitive offense where the blame wasn't shared, it was specific. Black and white.
Ah, okay. So the complexity of track 5, that we're both sad but it's over, feeling might have actually kept him emotionally paralyzed, still tied to the partner through that shared grief.
That's a strong possibility. Rejecting that complexity lets him simplify. You did this, you are the one at fault, therefore I have not only the right but the need to leave.
So the narrative trades that subtlety for something much more straightforward, external consequence.
Precisely. If track 5 was that quiet, mutual acknowledgement of pain, track 6 uses the high voltage sound of the rock ballad to externalize that pain.
And declare the partner solely responsible for the destruction.
Yeah. And this shift, it isn't just about anger, though anger is definitely there. It feels more like a narrative necessity for self-preservation.
It transforms him from being the passive one, the one abandoned, into the assertive one who is executing a necessary emotional exit strategy.
And you hear that authority right from the opening lines of, "You lost my love." There's zero ambiguity, zero room for negotiation, which is such a stark contrast to the hope or the questioning we heard earlier.
Yeah, he just states that I'm moving away from you. And then, even more definitively, I'm going away, girl, and I'm not coming back.
And the crucial thing there is he is the one taking control of the departure. Remember the arc. Track 4, 3 million miles, felt like he was abandoned, left waiting. Earlier tracks, things happened to him.
But here he's initiating. He's executing the final break. It feels like a controlled, very deliberate decision to walk away.
A decision that maybe feels burned after everything he's been through emotionally.
It's definitely an active choice, not just a reaction. And he even emphasizes the timing. This night, as good as any, for leaving you for good.
That line's interesting. This night, it suggests a certain impulsiveness, doesn't it? Probably fueled by whatever specific betrayal occurred, which we'll get to.
But the outcome is crystal clear. Finality. It's a clean break, and it's driven by his own will.
It's like he's choosing to walk away from the burning bridge, not being pushed off it. That control signifies independence.
And he frames the motivation, too. It's about seeking something personal. I'm really turning the page with the hope to find the truth.
Which implies, doesn't it, that the relationship itself was blocking the truth, preventing clarity.
Yeah, that echoes the struggle with deception we heard way back in track 1. Yes, I know. It suggests the whole relationship was built on, well, maybe lies, or at least obfuscation, emotional guessing games.
So after enduring all that, the narrator realizes leaving isn't just ending the connection, it's escaping the environment of the lie. It's the only way to get psychological clarity. Personal clarity.
If you connect that search for truth back to track 5, that shared sorrow, while it felt honest emotionally, it didn't actually provide truth, did it? It just offered resignation.
Good point. He seems desperate for some kind of enlightenment after this long cycle of being misled. So this aggressive, decisive break becomes necessary because the relationship, even in its sad ending phase, was still clouding his reality.
So leaving becomes this, high-stakes act of self-preservation, almost mental health preservation.
But does that aggressive move risk replacing one kind of distortion with another? Is he trading the complex truth? Maybe we both failed for a simpler, more actionable truth. You are entirely to blame. Is it just rage talking?
That's a really important question. It could be impulse, driven by rage, but it seems like it's an impulse driven by a very specific, concrete injustice, which the song lays out.
Right. And emotionally, maybe the narrator needs to believe in the partner's clear fault. He needs that certainty to justify the finality of it, and maybe to find the energy to actually sustain the break.
He can't afford to look back. He needs that moral certainty that he's escaping something truly destructive.
So the search for the absolute truth gets kind of replaced by the assertion of his truth, the truth he needs to survive.
And the emotional core of this track, it's spelled out for us in the source description. The lyrics are explicitly filled with sorrow and a vengeance.
That duality is everything here. It drives the power of the rock ballad. You've got the pain of leaving, the sorrow, mixed with this fierce desire for the betrayer to actually face consequences, to suffer.
That distinction feels key. The sorrow acknowledges his own loss, right? The time invested, the genuine pain of ending something that presumably once mattered.
But the vengeance, that's the demand for justice, almost cosmic justice. It's like he requires a betrayer to finally feel the weight of the pain he's been carrying through the album.
That burning hell from track 2, the deep dark inside from track 1, he's not seeking, physical revenge. He's demanding emotional parity.
Yeah.
You need to feel what I felt.
And this demand gets locked in, codified in that really powerful chorus. It's presented almost like a vengeful oath, isn't it? The seriousness of it.
Yeah. Analyze the power of using the word swear. And the prediction is so clear. And I swear that there will be a day when you will cry because you lost my love. Yes, you will.
That word swear, it elevates it beyond just a wish or a moment of anger. It's like he's casting a prophecy.
Trying to impose his will, his pain, onto the partner's future timeline. It gives him a sense of agency over the consequences, even if the crying itself is the partner's action.
And, this desire for the other person to eventually feel regret, it feels deeply resonant, particularly in the context of relationship trauma or betrayal.
How so?
Well, when someone feels they've been profoundly misled or wronged, like the narrator clearly does, maybe the ultimate form of validation is for the betrayer to finally grasp the magnitude of their mistake.
So the narrator is demanding proof. Proof that his pain was real, that the partner's actions actually had significant weight.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, you can't just brush this off. You can't minimize what happened. One day you will feel the depth of what I'm feeling right now.
And that brings us to the specific thing that was lost, which the song hammers home through repetition, my love.
Yes. It's not just about losing the relationship, the companionship. It's an assertion that the narrator's emotional investment, his heart, his loyalty, his capacity to love, that was the valuable, irreplaceable asset.
The asset the partner squandered.
And asserting that self-worth is a core part of the vengeance. It says, you failed to recognize the value of what I offered, and eventually you will recognize that failure.
The rock ballad energy kind of sustains that belief, gives weight to the oath.
Definitely. The sorrow is him admitting, yeah, this still hurts, but the vengeance is the mechanism he uses to ensure he comes out as the victor in the emotional story, not just the person left behind.
He's taking back control of how he's valued.
Right. And then the narrative grounds this feeling, this need for vengeance, in something very concrete in the second stanza. It shifts away from the philosophical declarations about leaving.
And get specific, it starts with that theme of emotional labor again. I had to read your mind to know what you want from me.
Which is a direct callback to that imbalance we've sensed throughout the album, isn't it? Remember track 3, Now I Know, was about him actively seeking mutual clarity.
Yeah.
But this line suggests the default state of this relationship was chronic guessing games. He had to constantly expend energy just trying to figure out what the partner wanted, implying a serious lack of transparency, of basic communication from her side.
And that labor, looking back, must feel like it was stolen.
Wasted effort.
Then the lyrics pinpoint the core ethical breach. The misuse of freedom. I gave you love and freedom, but you were feeling too much free.
That phrasing, feeling too much free, is really interesting. It suggests he offered trust, space. But the partner didn't just use that freedom, they abused it, overstepped boundaries, which ties right back into the album's ongoing themes of deception, relational disrespect.
It's that difference between liberty and license, maybe. Liberty is freedom within agreed boundaries. License is acting like those boundaries don't exist.
Exactly. And for this narrator, who already seems to struggle with trusting what's real, that abuse of freedom would be profoundly damaging. Insulting, even.
It confirms his suspicion that the relationship wasn't just failing due to circumstance, but because one person was willfully disregarding the shared contract.
But all of this, the guessing games, the misused freedom, it feels like it's building up to the main event, this specific, unforgivable wound, the thing that really fuels the rock ballad's fire.
This seems to be the moment of that black and white clarity he needed, the thing that justifies the finality of the break.
We really have to pause on this detail because it feels like the engine driving the entire song. The lyrics state it plainly. I had 2 special friends. That's you and him. You took them away from me, and that's something I can't forgive.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't just about infidelity, is it? If he had 2 special friends, you and him, and she took both away.
It sounds like a profound act of relational sabotage. He doesn't just lose the romantic partner, which is devastating enough. He simultaneously loses someone he considered a friend, him, who was apparently complicit in whatever happened.
It's a double betrayal. A double trauma.
Absolutely. The pain is massively compounded. The betrayal doesn't just wreck the romantic bond, it seems to poison his entire immediate social support structure.
You would shatter his ability to trust his environment, wouldn't it?
Completely. And maybe that's why the action is described as unforgivable, because it demonstrates a willingness not just to end a relationship, but potentially to destroy the narrator's world.
That makes the pain so much more specific, so concrete, compared to the vague, almost existential distance he felt back in track 4.
Exactly. So after spending the whole album searching for truth, for clarity, this betrayal delivers it instantly, brutally.
It's an undeniable offense, and it gives him that ultimate moral high ground he needed to justify the vengeance promised in the chorus.
That clarity becomes his liberation. The unforgivable act validates the oath he swore. After all the ambiguity, the passive waiting, the complex shared sadness of track 5, this is the first clear-cut, undeniable wrong.
And that certainty is vital. It lets him finally shift gears from victim, unsure of where things went wrong, to assertive agent, totally justified in his rage and his departure.
He now possesses the absolute knowledge that he deserves to leave. Needs to leave.
And the song's structure reinforces that, doesn't it? The stanza laying out this specific betrayal leads immediately back into the powerful repeated chorus.
Yes. It cements the cause and effect. Because you did the specific destructive thing, this consequence my departure and your future regret will follow.
This specific act of sabotage provides the psychological closure that the shared sadness of track 5 just couldn't offer.
It simplifies the ending completely. The relationship didn't just fade. It ended because of, in his view, malice, and profound disrespect. And that clarity, however harsh, is the first real step towards rebuilding himself.
Okay, so he's established the betrayal, unleashed the rage. Then the third stanza seems to shift tone again, slightly.
It does. Having established the unforgivable act and the anger it caused, it moves into this almost cold, rational assessment. It solidifies the choice to leave. He achieves this functional clarity. Right now, the things are much easier to see.
And the conclusion he reaches, I'm not good for you, and you're not good for me.
Which is a really crucial pivot. The clarity here isn't romantic or fatalistic. It's a sober, almost clinical mutual assessment of incompatibility, of toxicity.
It's not just driven by the heat of the betrayal
And
anymore.
it seems not just by that. It feels like the rage provided the spark, the energy to act. I'm moving away. But this rational clarity, we're fundamentally bad for each other, is what makes the decision feel irreversible, sustainable.
It moves beyond, I hate what you did, to something more like, this entire setup, this dynamic, is destructive. It has to be dismantled for either of us to survive.
And it's this functional clarity that finally allows the narrator to genuinely look forward, something he's tried, maybe, but failed to really achieve in earlier tracks because of all the uncertainty and waiting.
Right, and he declares it. So I'll be leaving now to find a better love.
That line feels monumental within the context of A Night on the Earth. Truly, it's the first definitive, future-looking statement of self-worth, of actual hope we've heard on the whole album.
He's decisively moved past that cycle of despair, of just waiting passively.
And the action is driven by seeking something positive fulfillment. He's actively asserting that he deserves more than the emotional labor and the double betrayal he just endured.
It's the moment he stops focusing entirely on what was lost and starts focusing on what could potentially be gained. It signals a real recovery of self-esteem. Leaving you for good becomes linked to finding my own happiness.
But even in that triumphant note of looking ahead, there's still that necessary dose of reality. The final lines of the stanza add a crucial layer. I will never forget you, but only time will show when the pain will go.
Why include that lingering pain? In a song that feels so much about definitive closure and even vengeance, why acknowledge the hurt will continue?
Maybe for psychological honesty. It confirms the pain is real, the memory of the relationship, the person will linger, never forget.
Okay.
But the key difference now is that healing is actually possible because the toxic cycle has been definitively broken by his departure. Time becomes the healer, and he's finally created the conditions for time to actually start working.
So the fight is over, the healing begins now, but it's acknowledged as a process, not some instant fix.
Exactly. It adds depth. It prevents the song from becoming purely a simplistic revenge fantasy. There's still an awareness of the emotional cost.
Which brings us to the end of the song, the outro. And this feels like classic rock ballad territory, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That extended outro, the intense repetition of the core phrase, you lost my love, over and over, often with that instrumentation swelling behind it.
It acts like the final hammer blow, doesn't it? The blunt instrument of assertion.
It really is. It's this definitive, powerful statement ensuring the partner fully understands the magnitude of their failure. The music swells, the drums drive it home, the vocals deliver this insistent, emotional, final verdict.
It's like a refusal to let the partner minimize the loss or reframe the ending as anything other than a failure caused directly by their betrayal.
After 5 tracks where the narrator struggled to even articulate the depth of his pain, this repetition feels like the absolute, undeniable, almost visceral communication of the ultimate consequence.
You didn't just lose me, you lost my love. And you're going to hear that truth hammered home until it sinks in.
And psychologically, that repetition probably serves a purpose for the narrator too, right? By asserting it so loudly, so repeatedly, he's solidifying his own conviction.
Reinforcing his new stance.
Yeah.
Helping him resist any lingering pull towards that shared sadness he just rejected from track 5.
Yeah, it's how we make sure that door stays firmly, permanently closed.
So looking back at the album's arc, A Night on the Earth, this track really feels like it successfully executes that decisive break the whole narrative has been building towards.
It does. He moves past the complexity, the passivity, the shared sorrow of the duet. He achieves this active emotional independence, and he's armed with the undeniable clarity provided by that double betrayal.
And that clarity feels like the most important outcome here.
I think so. He's reclaimed his own story from the hands of the person who deceived him. He's used his moral high ground not just to demand future justice, but maybe more importantly, to fuel his own escape. his own pursuit of something better.
It's a huge victory for a character who spent so much of the album feeling lost, adrift, powerless.
This track is, yeah, ultimately a declaration of war, but perhaps a necessary one. A declaration that allows him to survive and finally start moving forward.
So wrapping up, You Lost My Love. It really stands as the narrator's crucial moment of seizing back power. He uses the terrible clarity of that betrayal involving you and him to fuel this necessary assertive break.
And it provides such a sharp, almost jarringly loud contrast to the quiet, resigned sorrow we explored right before it in track 5.
Which leads to a really interesting point for reflection, especially if you're thinking about emotional recovery. We saw the narrator try a path of shared sorrow, maybe implicit forgiveness, in track 5.
And here in track 6, he fully embraces assertive blame, coupled with that demand for future payback, for vengeance.
So the provocative question might be, for someone trying to move on from significant relational trauma from deception, does that assertive declaration of blame, maybe even fueled by a desire for payback, actually offer a more powerful, maybe even faster path to emotional independence?
Compared to trying to hold on to that complex, shared sadness of the duet, does it sometimes take the fire of a specific, unforgivable betrayal to finally find the strength to leave and actively decide to find a better love?
It certainly seems to have provided this narrator with the clarity and the fire he desperately needed. The terms have been unequivocally stated. The door is slammed shut. He's walked away.
But if he's achieved this clarity, this powerful final assertion, what happens next? Because we move straight into track 7, which is Tell Me Why, also listed as a rock ballad.
Right. The setup feels intriguing. After such a definitive, angry statement of fact, you lost my love, I'm not coming back, why is there a need for more questioning?
He already seems to know the why of the betrayal, doesn't he? That clarity was achieved. So what is he asking now?
Exactly. Is he seeking more closure on the specific mechanics of the betrayal detailed in track 6? Or is the questioning turning inward now, maybe trying to understand his own patterns? Or why the shared sorrow in track 5 felt necessary then, but insufficient now?
It seems like there's still a quest for answers for understanding, even after this massive declaration. We'll have to unpack that continued, perhaps slightly ironic, quest in Tell Me Why during our next deep dive.
We look forward to exploring that next stage of Oliver's emotional journey through A Night on the Earth.
It should be fascinating.
Join us next time. Keep digging.